What's the crack, folks? Welcome back to another YouTube video. So it's Friday and I'm just walking down to the club here, football club. Going to go through a little bit of a speed session and conditioning session here on the pitch. So I was away on holidays last week. Really good time. We were in Spain. So nice to get some sun. Nice to kind of just relax, get some downtime. But yeah, back with a baptism of fire this week into work and football training and stuff like that. Our championship, first round with championship was pushed out to later date in August because Roscommon ladies won the All-Ireland. Fair dues to them. I was gutted I couldn't make it to Croker for it because we were away on holidays, but got to see it over there, and like what a game, what an achievement. One of the girls in our club plays with them, with the girls in the county team, so absolutely delighted for her as well. And it's just great to see, like, for Roscommon ladies football, they have the senior status now after that, so going to be a nice jump up for them next year. But yeah, looking forward to watching them go through that as well. But yeah, so heading up to the club here. Tipped away a little bit of training there last week while I was away on holidays, mostly strength and a little bit of cardio work on a couple of machines that was in the hotel gym. No speed exposure, so just want to get some more exposure to that this week. That's something that will drift pretty quickly if you don't, I suppose, keep up the exposure to it. So yeah, looking forward to getting the boots back on the pitch. We actually arrived home on Monday, and well, Monday night into Tuesday morning. We had training on Tuesday evening, so I was feeling a little bit lethargic in that training, but yeah, delighted to be back out on the pitch. And it was actually nice to get a little bit of extra time for the first round in championship, which is maybe a little bit selfish of me, but I suppose after the holidays coming home, it can be just a little bit rocky for a day or two, but I actually feel good compared to coming home from other holidays. I don't feel too sluggish on myself. I suppose I just kind of kept simple habits at bay as well while I was there. Water intake, steps, nutrition, kind of just focus on 3 main meals and stuff like that. So yeah, can't complain too much about how the body is feeling. So just said I'd take out the camera and record, I suppose, a longer form video today on what I'm doing here at the pitch, and just kind of ramble a small bit on a few different things. And yeah, just kind of chat, I suppose, and hopefully someone finds it interesting. So I'll head up into the club gym now and I'll go through a small bit of specific prep, see how the hamstring is feeling. Was a little bit niggly with the patellar tendon there the last few days coming home from holidays. I suppose the sitting down for long times on plane and stuff like that will, I suppose, trigger it, so just going to get a bit of movement into that. And then I'll get out onto the pitch, do a couple of speed exposure efforts, so focusing on, I suppose, upright positions today, longer distances, so like 30 metres to 45 metre sprints. And then I'll get into a tasty conditioning block that I have set up for myself. I have to set it up on the Garmin app, and then it will just sync to my watch and I'll be able to start it from there. So I'll show you all that throughout the video as well. And I'll link a couple of things down in the description as well of this video, so you can check that out. But yeah, hopefully enjoy this one, follow along, and make sure you like and subscribe to the channel if you do find it interesting. I'm popping up loads of stuff on my Instagram as well, recently at Megan Bannahan Fitness. So yeah, hopefully you do find it helpful. And I have a couple of different, I suppose, things that I've put out on Instagram recently. One being a pre-training performance primer, which is a bit of a mouthful, but basically what I've noticed is with players, they tend to, I suppose, just rock up to training like 30 seconds before and rock onto the pitch and not really focus on a proper warm-up, and then they're wondering why they always feel heavy-legged. You know, in the first while, it takes them a while to get going, they feel a bit lethargic and things like that. So the pre-training performance primer basically is to, I suppose, work on specific areas of acceleration, movement, interaction with the floor, reactive strength and things like that, just to kind of get you firing a little bit better before you go out onto the pitch. Or I mean, when you're out on the pitch, you can do it as well, like 15 to 20 minutes before team training. It's really useful to do, and it's something that I've been doing a lot since I got back into playing football this year, because I found like I can't just rock up to training anymore like 30 seconds before and get stuck into it. Like I have to kind of, you know, loosen myself out, get myself fired up, do a little bit of prep to kind of purposefully feel like I'm ready to sprint and that kind of stuff. So if you're someone who feels like they're a bit heavy-legged, they're a bit lethargic, you probably need to do something like that as well. And I will link that down in the description of the video here too for you to check out. But yeah, I've had a lot of people look for it over the last couple of days, and they've been finding it useful from the feedback. So definitely check that one out. But for now, going to get stuck in and see how we get on. So that's the specific warm-up done here in the gym. Just went through a little bit of mobility, done some postures and positions for upright running, which is what I'm going to be focusing on now when I get out onto the pitch. So I'm going to go through a little bit of speed work and then into some conditioning, and I'm actually just setting up the workout here for the conditioning block on the Garmin app, which is really handy. I can just then sync it onto my watch and it will beep as I want it to beep in terms of the times and stuff like that. I won't need to keep looking at the times because I have a preset here. So basically the conditioning block is going to be 3 times of 2 minutes hard running, 90 seconds recovery, then 2-minute breather into the next part of it, which will be 5 by 1 minute hard running, recover for 1 minute, recover for 2 minutes then after I have 5 of them done, and then I'm into 8 times of 30 seconds hard running, 30 seconds recover. So nice high intensity, kind of working on different, well, we're working at threshold pace, we're trying to keep the intensity high. And I suppose that's going to give you a nice bang for buck as well in terms of a top-up session that will transfer over into pitch performance rather than just going for a straight line 3 kilometre or 5 kilometre run. So we're going to be covering about 4.7k in this altogether. That's the estimated distance, taking up just over half an hour. And there's a nice kind of variation of intensities of your heart rate and things like that. So that's the kind of stuff you'd want to be working on if you are not getting much game time, or, you know, if you feel like you're lacking in a small bit of fitness. You want to be getting up and down the paces, getting up and down the heart rate zones, and getting your body more used to that to, I suppose, improve your fitness. That's going to transfer over onto the pitch. It's all well and good improving, I suppose, general fitness, but you need to kind of get specific to the game demands so that you're able to keep up with you're able to keep up with the demands in the game then when it comes to game day. So yeah, that's the plan. I'll do a little bit of speed work before that, do a couple of dribble bleeds, focusing on, I suppose, longer distances sprints today. Getting into those nice tall upright postures and see how the body is feeling. So we'll crack on into that before I start to cool down. Right, so I'll stick on the old boots and get stuck in on the pitch now in a second. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen that I got these new boots. They're the Nike Tempo ones, and I actually love them. They're savage, they're so light and they're so comfortable as well. But I put up a post on Instagram where during a match there, we had a challenge match, and I was kind of changing direction, and my toe literally on the kind of jab step to change direction just came through the top of the boot. And I suppose I just kind of highlighted the importance of changing direction and training it in your actual individual training as well, and kind of being exposed to it, because the forces that it puts upon the body is absolutely crazy. So that was a goodbye to the old Adidas Predators that I had. But I do actually prefer these. They have a much nicer kind of a leather on them, and they're really comfortable, so can't complain. And I mentioned I was on holidays there as well last week, so I'm kind of just topping up on a little bit of speed exposure, because there was zero speed exposure last week just with being on holidays, which is kind of normal enough. I wasn't going to be taken into doing a couple of sprints or anything like that, so I did tip away at training, but I suppose getting that kind of quality speed exposure regularly, at least twice per week, is going to be key to maintain it throughout the season, especially I suppose when things start to ramp up in championship. These kind of exposures to these qualities like speed can start to drop off in team training, which is something I mentioned yesterday actually on a post on Instagram, that team trainings can become a lot more tactical and technical focused in the build up to championship and during championship. You know, managers are kind of focusing more on game plays, getting players ready for being in the mindset of a game, not necessarily focusing on developing players' speed or developing players' fitness, because that's done sort of early pre-season. And that's why I suppose depending on team training alone is not going to be the best thing to do, because these kind of qualities will start to drift because you're not being exposed to them in team training as much. So I suppose it just kind of highlights the importance of having maybe some plan and structure in place for knowing how to incorporate that into your week alongside your team trainings and games, what to be doing within those sessions. And you know, and you're going to get really good bang for buck, rather than just kind of having a random approach and just kind of doing something for the sake of it, or you know, going down doing a few sprints, not really knowing if you're moving well, not really knowing if you're resting properly between sprints and things like that. So having that plan and structure in place is going to be really beneficial for that. So anyways, we'll get stuck into these ones, see how they go. So that's the couple of sprints done. Actually felt really good. Pretty happy with how the body is moving and feeling off the floor. I feel kind of lighter than I expected off the floor after holidays and the extra carbs and a little bit of alcohol too. But yeah, like I won't take too long of a break now before I get stuck into the conditioning, but just like a quick chat about, I suppose, getting back on track after holidays. A lot of people tend to overcomplicate it. A lot of restriction tends to happen with people. They tend to go on diets. I hate that word. Like for me, I just kind of focus on getting back into the habits I had established before holidays. So that was focusing on my main meals first and foremost as my food intake for the day, then base my snacks around that. Within my main meals, focus on a decent protein intake, and also try and re-establish the previous meal timings that you had before you went away as well, and try to keep them similar. So, you know, get a big shop done, have the food available to you, the protein sources, the carb sources, because the longer it's not available to you, the longer you're just going to run the risk of snacking on anything and everything. And you're always going to struggle to get back into routine. So try to focus on just re-establishing the basics, focus on the habits you had before you went to holidays, and don't overcomplicate it. Honestly, people just tend to really overcomplicate things when it comes to nutrition in general. I have a very sort of realistic approach to it. It might seem boring, but I mean, it works well for me. The main thing for me with nutrition is to fuel me well for my training, and to enjoy it as well, you know. So once it's doing that for me, and I mean, I never feel restricted because I have stuff that I enjoy, and I focus on my main meals to satisfy me, as my main satisfaction of food throughout the day. So, you know, previously, obviously, and it's never perfect, like, don't get me wrong, but previously, you know, I would have been restricting, say, my portion sizes of main meals, and therefore I just would have ran the risk of, you know, not being satisfied throughout the day, having cravings for more snacks, more small things. But the more of those small things I had, the more calories that started to add up. You know, and that's another thing. A lot of people think eating less is better, or eating smaller portion sizes is better. But I always say volumize those main meals as much as you can, and have those satisfy you as best they can as well. So anyways, less talking now. I'm going to get stuck into this conditioning here. So let me see, show you on the watch here if I can get it up. So how do I get into this? Run. Yes, there we go. Let's see. So we have, where are you? There it is. So hopefully you can see that. So we have 2-minute threshold runs, 1 minute, and then 30 seconds as well. So it's going to be a decent length of time, decent amount of ground covered as well in this. And you know, it's at sub-maximal pace, it's threshold pace, so we're not sort of maxing out in each run. We're trying to keep it consistent, trying to keep the distance that I hit in each of the working intervals consistent as well. That should be kind of I suppose, a marker to go by, or a metric to go by, to see, I suppose, how consistent you are being. But yeah, I'll fill you in on how I'm getting on anyways. Whew. So that's the 3 by 2 minute runs done now. So a little bit of a break now before the 1 minute runs. So distance wise there, I was getting up, down 3 times of the length of the pitch, and then a small bit out for the last couple of seconds of the run. So not too bad, I guess. Definitely blowing a bit now. Probably from the lack of pitch work last week and stuff being away, but look, that's normal as well. So still on 2 minutes recovery now before the 1 minute runs. So 1 minute run, 1 minute recovery by 5. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. But yeah, not feeling too bad. Like, I feel, what I'm happy about is that my hamstring, my knee is feeling good as well. I was having a bit of bother with my hamstring over the past while, the same kind of issue I had last year. So the hamstring tendon, the proximal one just up under the glute, was kind of giving me bother in like speed work and change of direction. So been working on that over the past couple of weeks, some specific prep in the gym before I go out onto the pitch all the time, really being a stickler with that, to do that before I go out onto the pitch, because I knew if I didn't, I'd be in bother with it. So that's been really helping it, just some specific prep there. And that's something I'd advise anyone who is having any niggles to get it seen to, and make sure that they are like warming up specifically and properly before they go onto the pitch. It can make a massive difference overall. So into the last minute of recovery now. I'll get ready for these next 1 minute runs. So we're nearly there. 1 minute runs by 5 done. Tough going now. starting to feel it in the legs. We have the 30-second runs coming up for 8 reps, 30 on, 30 off. So we'll see how that goes. I'll try and definitely keep that distance consistent. Distance on the 1 minute runs wasn't too bad. I was getting all the way down, back up to around the 20-meter line, just past it. So happy enough with that in terms of distance and consistency. So yeah, it's actually perfect conditions down here today. It's not too windy. I thought it was going to be really blustery, but it's actually grand. I'm not running against the wind or anything. It's kind of coming across the pitch, which is really good. So going to go for the 30-second ones in 1 minute, and I'll touch base afterwards. A little bit of, I suppose, chatting that I want to do in this video as well. Catch up with a bit on my coaching business and stuff like that. And yeah, I'll catch up. I need to get my breath back before these 40 seconds to go. Done and dusted. Oh, so that's that. Pretty solid session. It took me about 32 minutes to cover it all, and I covered just over 4 kilometers. So pretty happy with that now, in fairness. And like that, that is a solid session that you can do to top up if you're a player that's not getting enough game time, or you know, if you feel like you're just dropping below par with your fitness at the minute. That's a solid enough session to go and do. You know, you're going to get much more bang for buck by doing some sort of interval or tempo style session compared to just going for like a straight line run. You're going to get much more, I suppose, adaptation that's going to be transferable into a game of football from that type of session compared to, you know, just going for a steady pace run. Because when you look at the demands of the game, you're constantly accelerating, decelerating, change of direction. Now, I know there wasn't any change of direction there today, but today my focus was kind of on upright run and speed, like max speed, and then conditioning specifically. So there was not much change of direction. I do have another day in the week where I focus on a bit of change of direction work. So like repeated sprintability is a massively important, I suppose, quality to work on as well. And like that, you will get some exposure to this in team training, but again, solely relying on team training to, I suppose, get you game fit isn't going to be enough for majority of people. So kind of adding stuff in where you can, knowing what to do is at the right time and the right amounts is key. And that's where, you know, having a plan and structure in place with accountability is going to get you really far in terms of progressing on that. So one other topic I wanted to cover in this video is around how positional changes are so common for club players on game day. You could go into the dressing room today and you could be put in a corner forward, and then the next game you could be playing half back. And then panic stations might start to set in a little bit where you're saying to yourself, well, I haven't played here in ages. I'm not going to be able to keep up with my marker. I'm going to be out of puff in the first 5 minutes. I'm not sure when I have to make runs, when I don't have to make runs, and things like that. And although these positional changes are pretty much out of your control, what's in your control is your ability to be able to read the game in different positions. And I suppose that comes from watching more football, being around your teammates as much as possible, being around your club as much as possible, go and seeing other local games as well, watching games on telly. There's plenty of them over the last couple of weeks, and kind of learning, especially with the new rules, I suppose, what each position needs maybe specifically, and then seeing what way a player needs to be on the pitch, what, I suppose, qualities they need to portray to keep up with the game demands nowadays in the modern game. Acceleration, change of direction, max speed and strength are all key qualities that pretty much every player on the pitch needs to display in their position and in any position. So if you can work on developing these areas by following a plan and structure with accountability, it's going to give you much more confidence then when you do have to put on a different jersey on game day that you haven't been familiar with in a while, or that you haven't ever been familiar with. At least you can say to yourself, well, I have been working in the background on, you know, all levels of my fitness in terms of being able to perform well on the pitch. And you're giving yourself the best, I suppose, opportunity of being able to perform anywhere and being a versatile player. So I suppose that's what I'm doing in terms of trying to get out education there for, you know, a broad range of players, give them reason behind why acceleration is important, why change direction is important, why max speed is important, why strength is important. There are other areas as well, but those are kind of the I suppose, key things that you will see players needing to do on the pitch in every position. So, you know, if you can kind of develop those and kind of focus on them in your own individual training and make sure that your gym sessions are going to be benefiting your performance rather than hindering them, that you're doing the right things at the right time and the right amounts, you're going to give yourself a really good opportunity to improve, and it's going to give you confidence then as well. Because I was thinking to myself, like, would you rather be an average player who goes through your playing career or, you know, your playing season and absolutely dreads every game because simply they haven't put in the work to keep up with the game demands in their own time? Or would you rather be above average player and actually really enjoy the process and really enjoy going out on game day, not feeling like you're out of puff within the first 5 minutes, being confident that you know what you're doing, and then coming off the pitch and being able to say to yourself, well, I did really well today, I kept up with my marker, you know, I felt really efficient on the pitch in terms of the way I was moving, got a few scores, and you know, I didn't feel like I was fatigued. And I suppose when fatigue sets in, your decision making drops as well, the decision making fatigue kicks in as well. So these are all, I suppose, things that you can kind of be working on yourself, and it's going to give you the best opportunity to perform well in any position on the pitch. So yeah, the plan now is go back and get some grub into me. What time is it now? It's just after 1, I think, maybe 1:15, 1:30. And I've a nice bit of coaching work to do on the laptop, a bit of online program updates and things like that. There's a lot of players coming into championship season actually this week now. First round of championship is happening sort of this weekend for a lot of players inside MBF Performance. So just making sure that they're feeling good, they're feeling ready, making sure if they've any questions that we kind of run over things and make sure that they feel good as well and feel confident, as I was saying earlier. So that is the plan. I'm going to go, I need to get milk in the shop for my oats, so I'm going to go and do that, and I'll probably chat some more as well to round off the video in the house while I'm on the laptop. Just kind of chat through a couple of updates where I'm at myself in terms of my coaching, my business. I suppose the holiday last week gave me some time to reflect on where I'm at and you know, where I want to go with it as well. And you know, it's a tricky business to be in, be honest with you. Like, I feel like, you know, it's kind of a saturated industry at the minute, and I'm trying my best to always be authentic and realistic with what I put out on social media, and I've always tried to be that way. You know, I don't claim to be the best at what I do or, you know, anything like that. I just try and use my realistic approach, put it out there, and then whoever, I suppose, finds it interesting. But the thing about it is, I might be sometimes a little bit boring about how I go about things, in terms of maybe my content and stuff like that. But look, that's just the way it is. And I'm not going to, you know, force change in that in terms of like trying to be something that I'm not. So that's, I suppose, you know, my thought process on it. But yeah, I'm going to keep plugging away and working away as I usually do anyways. And see where it takes me. But I'm going to head up now, get some grub into me, and I'll catch up with you in a while. So we acquired the milk and got the oats made. There's Jessie, say hello. And this has pretty much been my go-to, I suppose, post-workout meal, pretty much after any workout or running session. So we have oats, we have protein powder, we have some Greek yogurt, granola and frozen berries. So it's perfect, I suppose, post-workout meal. Loads of protein in there, easy to get down, and you know, it's just really nice and tasty. So technically that is how you make overnight oats, but I know I've mentioned before that I just make it and I eat it. Doesn't bother me. So it's a really handy one that you can just literally make in the morning, bring with you in the car to have for lunch at work or whatever. I often have that for lunch as well, pretty handy. So yeah, going to get that down me now, have a coffee here as well, and get stuck into work on the laptop. So I'm just getting through a little bit of work here on the laptop, checking in my clients, making sure that they're feeling good ahead of championship this weekend. As I mentioned earlier, there's a few of them kicking off now. Actually, one of them is tonight, and then there's a few on Sunday as well. So just making sure that their programs are all set up. Anyone inside MBF Performance who is working with me one-to-one has their weekly check-in that they fill out on a Sunday, and they kind of fill me in on everything in terms of their schedule for the week ahead, with games, with trainings and things like that, and I'm able to kind of program effectively for them. So it's not just a generic program that I'm giving them, it's very specific to their schedule, their routine, anything, any individual needs that they require. It's all kind of tailored around that then as well. So I'll probably round off the video in a couple of minutes, just kind of chat a little bit about my own coaching business. So I suppose, like, if you follow me on Instagram over the last, I suppose, 6 months or so, you've probably noticed like a change in my content, more catering towards like performance-based goals, mainly GA players. And I suppose that was a big goal of mine at the start of this year, to kind of focus more on like strength conditioning for GA players or for field sport athletes, and come at my online coaching service from a more performance-based I suppose category, if you like, or cater for those types of people. So I suppose at the start of the year, I would have been working with a lot of groups and teams. So I had a lot of underage teams coming into my gym, and then I was traveling to some teams as well. I was with the under 14 girls, county girls in Longford. So I had a couple of sessions with them, like a block of sessions where it was like pre-season for them, and kind of going through a little bit of gym work, teaching them the basics, which I really, really enjoyed. And I think, more exposure I get to that, the more I learn, and the better I'll get at it as well. So I suppose that's been my goal, to kind of focus more on that in terms of my online coaching. I would have previously been like for general population, like weight loss clients, people like looking to maybe start out in their fitness journey, or if they've been away for a while, kind of looking to get back into their fitness journey. So that's kind of what I was catering for. Like, if you followed me over the last couple of years, you would have seen I run maybe 8-week challenges and things like that. So I've kind of switched around my online coaching service, and the main kind of online coaching service I have now is all catered around performance coaching. So aka MBF Performance. So I'm kind of focusing more on like one-to-one coaching online for that at the minute. I am thinking about bringing in like a group-based coaching service, which would be a lower ticket. But I really like the one-to-one coaching online for players, because it is very individualized, and I feel like players themselves will get much more bang for buck out of it, because it is so individualized for them. They'll have their weekly check-in and things like that. And as you would have seen in my previous YouTube video, I actually met up with one of my online clients as well, to kind of touch base with her on how she's getting on with everything in the program, kind of review her movement mechanics, her technique, her posture, look through her sprints, her acceleration, all that kind of stuff. So that's something that is included in the one-to-one online coaching as well. And I can arrange that depending on where you are located in terms of the client. But that's something that I'm looking to kind of do more of as well. So what I'm hoping to, I suppose, push or advertise for in the next while is to try and maybe get more like local players involved in this within my gym as well. So hopefully opening up a couple of like one-to-one sessions where it's almost like a kind of a preview session, or like a consultation session, to see where that player is at, where the weaknesses are and what they can improve on. Give them a program then built around those areas for them to go away and work on, and then we can work remotely online here as well. So I suppose if you are local to Longford, Roscommon, Westmeath, anywhere around there near my gym, this is something that could be very useful for you, and it's something that I'm really excited to kind of try and push over the next while. So I probably will be putting up more about that on my Instagram page over the next while as well. So definitely keep an eye on it. But yeah, that's kind of, I suppose, where I'm at and where I want to take it. So I think it's great for players, and I think there's a great opportunity for young players and players like, a similar age to me, to kind of get the knowledge they need, especially club players. I suppose in the county, there'll be definitely more resources available to them in terms of what they should be doing in terms of gym work, what areas they need to be focusing on that will specifically give them transfer into pitch performance. Like, I was thinking to myself, my earliest days of playing football, when I think about what was involved in training, it was a lot of running, and to get better at football, run laps. So, you know, there was no mention of gym work, there was no mention of you know, movement mechanics or acceleration or changing direction or anything like that. It was all like running laps. So like, it's amazing. There's so much information out there, you know, and you can pull and drag from information from like online sources and things like that. But I think the accountability aspect of, you know, having a coach in your back pocket, and that's something that I really prioritize within my coaching, is to kind of give as much, I suppose, information and be as interactive with the client as I possibly can. And that's a big part of like when we first kind of initially get on a consultation call at the start with a potential client, is, you know, I kind of say to them, communication is really important. That, you know, the interaction between me and you is going to just benefit you and benefit me, in terms of you getting the most out of it, and then in terms of me being able to be more accurate and specific with what I give you to do, and to give you the why behind what I'm getting you to do as well, so that you understand it. So that's kind of what I'm big on at the minute, and I've always been big on that, you know, with anyone I've coached. So that's kind of what I suppose pride myself on, if you like. But yeah, so I'll leave all the details below in the description of this video for different links on how to get in touch with me. But like, generally you can just drop me a message on Instagram, and I'll get back to you, you know, if you've any questions around anything. I also had I suppose couple of like managers message me about what they should be doing in warm-ups for teams and what they should be including in terms of sprinting and speed work and things like that. So I suppose if you're a manager who is, I suppose, coaching a team and who's unsure as to what they should be doing along that line of things, drop me a message on Instagram at Megan Bannahan Fitness, and I'd be happy to kind of chat you through it and give you some information and guidance on what you should be doing, or how you can kind of get the most out of your players in that aspect of things. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover in this video, guys. If you got this far, thanks a million for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'll definitely be throwing up 1 or 2 of these videos over the next while as well. I really do enjoy making the YouTube videos, and hopefully you do find them helpful, take something from them. But yeah, that's pretty much everything from my end of things for today. Again, thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.